Hey guys, I'm Roger.
I'm Jay.
We're from the Roger and Pace podcast, episode number 1.
We are doing this.
We are, and today's episode, the first episode, we are going to chat about
Ourselves.
Introduce ourselves.
Introduce ourselves and why we started this podcast.
That's right. Then we go into some woke movies, which seems to be a theme at the moment. The Joker we chat about as well.
Yep, give our opinions on that.
Yep.
We also focus a little bit on Trump, the US elections.
That's right. Then we move into some manliness, which is going to be a common theme, hopefully in this podcast, and masculinity, what women want, all that kind of stuff.
Dating and all that stuff. And in regards to that, we finished off with a question from, I believe it was Greg. We shot this a week ago, guys, so forgive us if we get the name wrong. But Greg sends us a question.
Yeah, relationship question, which we're going to have hopefully each week from the viewers. So we hope you enjoy it. Episode number 1 coming your way. Enjoy.
This is going.
All right.
Hello.
Are we doing the intro?
Yeah, let's do this. Ready? Here we are.
Hey,
This is the one. This is it. We are actually doing this. Roger
Finally.
Shiberis.
And John Paul, J. Pace.
Yes.
Is it J or John Paul?
John Paul.
John Paul.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Nice.
Thank you.
Classy.
Thank you.
And I'm Roger Shiberis.
Was that meant to be a joke? who are you again?
I'm nobody. I'm looking for the crickets. All right.
Yeah, I know.
We're
Roger.
a bit out of control here.
We're still learning this thing.
So I find myself looking to the camera now. Is that a thing we're going to do?
I mean, we could do that. We could address the camera. So
Sometime.
we're new to this, guys. We're starting
Yes.
a podcast. We don't even know the name yet, right?
No, we don't know the name.
Still brainstorming. We'll get there.
But, well, why don't we, so, hi guys. As we said, my name's Roger. This is Jay.
Yeah.
You'll get to know a little bit more about us over time, but I guess we'll give a quick intro. So, who are you?
Alrighty. Well, everyone calls me Jay. It's actually John Paul Pace is the full real actor name. We're actually both actors as well. We just shot a scene before this. Hey, Roger.
Yes, we did. Yeah, we
Nice
did a scene from
Gangster Squad.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. If I can say that.
So humble.
Yeah. But I'm John Paul Pace. Everyone calls me Jay, so you guys can call me Jay.
It's Pache, isn't it? Is
Pache and Maltese. We are both
we're
Maltese.
Yeah.
Born and raised in Australia, but Maltese heritage. Yeah, I'm an actor, as I already mentioned. I work as a youth worker for Life Without Barriers, looking after out-of-home kids and being a mentor for them, which is a fulfilling job and in line with the kind of work I want to be doing. We hope that this podcast can eventually be something that inspires and enriches and educates as well, especially for young men, right?
Absolutely.
Yep. What about yourself, Roger?
So I'm Roger. I'm an actor as well. Like we both started roughly at the same time. I remember we did a class with Anthony Wong.
Anthony Wong, the Wong man.
Anthony. I had just come off a film, Fool's Gold. Like we must have been 23 years old.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. 24.
24.
Yeah.
And I think we hit it off because I'm married.
We're not married, not to each other. He's married to a lady.
But
a wonderful lady.
because our birthdays are about a week or 5 days apart. We're the
A
same
week?
age,
Yeah, you're the 12th, right? I'm the 19th.
Yeah, that's right, of November. So both Scorpios.
Wow.
I guess we look similar as well. And we had the same ambitions and a lot of things in common. So we became good friends after that.
I was a lot more buff than Roger, and I inspired him. And look what happened.
But yeah, so trying to do the acting thing, it is quite a tough industry, which I guess we'll talk about today and in future episodes and things that we're doing.
It's close to our heart,
Yeah, like Jay, you've got an episode of The Commons. I believe that's a Stan show in Australia.
It is, yes. It'll come out on Stan. It comes out on December 25th on Christmas Day.
Awesome.
Episode number 1. I'm in.
Oh, you're in episode 1?
No, I'm in 3 and 4, so it's probably going to be in January. But I have a guest role, a little part. But it was fun. It was good to be on set.
Yeah. And you've done
location.
You've done a few awesome things. We won't talk about it too much. We'll get into what we do want to do. But You're in the Passion of the Christ, not the Passion of the Christ.
It was called Paul, Apostle of Christ.
Paul, Apostle of Christ.
But I had Jim Caviezel in it.
Yes,
yeah,
it did.
who was in the Passion
of the
Christ.
In Malta. That
yes.
was filmed, which was amazing to do.
It was one of those things when you just, I was able to tick off 3 dream list items, to act in Malta, to act in a biblical film, and to act with Jim Caviezel, and I got all of them ticked off in one hit. So that was nice. That was a nice surprise. Yeah, that was back in 2017.
Yeah.
A couple of years now.
So as hard as acting is, it does provide some great moments that you can, you'll have that for the rest of your life. That's
some extraordinary moments, out of the ordinary life moments.
That
definitely.
other people, everyone has great moments, but as that is your passion and my passion, things like that, you'll never forget. And I always say that it's like it is, it's in a time, like it's permanent. You'll have that video forever, and
definitely.
even little things like what we did just back there, it looked great, and I could show my kids that in 20 years. Look when we were playing gangsters, and because nowadays
it captures your youth, and it captures you at a time in life, and it's like you're taking any kind of footage, really, photos and camera and video footage, but there's something special when it's legit like that, and it's on a production level that's for cinema or TV, and it's spread out there in the world. It's kind of like you've been thrown out there into eternity, really, because it's going to be out there, and I mean, I'm sure in the future it might not be able to be watched.
Depending on. Well, do you know what's happening now? With what do they call it? Have you seen the deepfake stuff that they're doing nowadays?
I've heard of that.
You haven't seen any?
No.
Maybe we should get into that a bit later.
Yeah, that does ring a bell, though. I've heard that's crossed my path.
Have you seen Rogue One, Star Wars Rogue One?
I believe I have. I'm not too up to date with the Star Wars
Well,
films.
We'll talk about that. That's a train wreck.
Alrighty.
But there is a good series out now called The Mandalorian.
I've heard of that one,
Well, I've seen the 3 episodes, and so far, it's fantastic. It is good.
Is
it's
it a
done
spin-off
really well
from Star Wars, or
it's so the Mandalorians are in the Star Wars universe. There's bounty hunters who go after people who have bounties, basically. But they're cool kind of cats, and this one is based on, I don't know if you want to call it a race of people or however it is in Star Wars, in the Star Wars universe, but they all wear armor. It is the guy from did you watch Game of Thrones? No. Jay,
I'm a little bit pathetic when it comes to TV series, especially. And I'm not up to date with films at the moment too. But
we'll talk about that.
We'll get there.
But there was an actor in Game of Thrones, Pablo Pascal, I believe his name was, and he was fantastic. And he got killed by the mountain in this gory scene, but everyone was rooting for him. He's fantastic.
He was in that. What was it called? The drug cartel one too.
It was named after
Narcos.
Yeah, Narcos,
right? Yeah,
that's
Narcos.
right. Well, he was the other. That's right. I saw that.
He was one of the main cops.
Yes. Yeah. He's fantastic. He plays the main guy, the Mandalorian.
Yeah. Wow.
And I mean, not too much has happened, but it's quite good, and it's not trying to be too funny and campy like some of the more recent Star Wars films. We can talk about that later.
Cool.
But the whole point was now in that Rogue One, they brought back a scene with, they de-aged, well, they completely CGI'd Carrie Fisher, who played Princess Leia, for one moment, but Tarkin, who was a main character in from the Empire, bad guy, and he was obviously a real person in the original Star Wars in the 70s and 80s, and they brought him back. He's obviously passed away, but as a completely CGI, and you can tell, but it is all borderline, you can't tell anymore. So they can create, so in theory, what they're doing now is, so long as you have footage of someone, enough footage of someone, which not too much, you can create a whole film, theoretically, with Brando, with James Dean, Marilyn Monroe, and do a whole film with their voices as well, manipulated via audio, so long as you have recordings of their voices. Can
they be doing different things?
Anything.
Wow.
Anything.
So if you just have an image of them and their voice, you can get them doing things they never filmed while they were alive. Right.
There's 2 ways of doing it. You can have someone of a similar height do all the actions, and then you deep fake, so you put that person's face on your face, or you can completely CGI, which is where I think it's going. But when I talk about deepfakes, I'm talking about, like, there was a scene from The Shining where they put Jim Carrey's face onto Jack Nicholson's face, and it looks, I'll send you the link a bit later, but it looks fantastic. Even
Gotta watch that.
somehow looks better.
Yeah, wow.
But all right, we're already getting off topic, which I suspected probably would happen. But the goal of the podcast. So,
Yes.
I mean, we probably have similar thoughts. In my mind, it is a place for us simply to discuss current events in the world, things that have happened.
Yeah,
obviously,
topics,
issues and topics, our passions of film and acting as well, amongst other things, which we'll get into. But all those current events and things like that. And we are not experts on anything, I don't think.
No, I'm not claiming to be.
No,
Yeah.
but I don't think that's going to be a problem. We're going to talk through as if we are, as we are, regular people trying to figure out
two
what's
normal
right.
dudes, and we're not going to necessarily take a side on any certain topics and issues, right? We're going to be fairly, non-partisan.
All we want to do is find out the truth and the what's right, what we think is right.
Yeah, and give all kind of viewpoints if we can from what we know.
So guaranteed we're going to make mistakes. So
putting it out there now.
But
the first episode.
the other thing is we're both passionate about manliness and I guess, for lack of a better word, the plight of young men nowadays. There are problems with people who fall into whatever identity that you want to, but obviously as we are men and we've been through that before, we've been through it and we are going through manliness and manhood, we have some degree of knowledge from our experiences.
Yeah, it's definitely something we can talk about. In regards to our own experiences, I can't say I've experienced being anything else. What about you, Rog?
Well,
I only met you when you were like 24, mate.
No, always been a man, but
but a manly man.
No, I haven't always been a manly man.
Have you seen his guns? Give us a flex.
No, I'm not going to. That's not on the first episode anyway. You're going to pay for that.
That's the
Well, you, my friend, are looking quite ripped nowadays.
Oh wow.
Yeah. It's
I'm paying him.
Hold on.
But
Wrong one. I was looking for the crickets.
Oh yeah.
I thought
Oh,
awkward. It is awkward. But no, we're not. But that's the other thing we are passionate about as well. Physicality and fitness and health.
Yeah.
You're very lean. Like, in all honesty, I admire how healthy and lean you are. Whereas I'm trying to get leaner, but I find it easier to put on size,
put on muscle. Where I struggle with that. I'm on the other end.
But it's completely from a place. It's not like, obviously we like to look good, as we think all men should. And I think nowadays we're at a point where it's almost got a negative tinge. If you are a guy that works out a lot, it's like you're narcissistic. You know what I mean? You get those people that think, like, the whole dad bod thing. Really, I found that quite strange. And to be honest, are we going to swear on this podcast?
We can if we want.
We can. Is that change? That's okay for YouTube.
Yeah.
BS. I'll say BS.
Yeah.
To start with,
we'll try and avoid it.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Like,
I mean, masculinity has been under attack, especially with the whole Me Too movement. Not that that's a bad thing, you know. I think it's great that women are speaking out, and finally, because there are some asshole guys out there that have abused their power and their
and definitely status in that
especially
industry.
in that industry.
Mr. Weinstein or Weinstein, Harvey Weinstein.
Mm-hmm. And among others, and even in the homosexual communities, you know, as we saw the fall of what's his name, House of Cards.
Yeah, but what happened there? I think he had a settlement. I think
I don't know what the final outcome with all that is. Where I haven't been updated really. I haven't been keeping up to date with all that and where it's at now. So did the guy withdraw or something?
I think there was a payout.
I think I did see or come across something like that. But what's his name again?
Gosh. Oh, this is embarrassing. He was in Usual Suspects.
Yeah.
Superman Returns.
God. Wow. That's how much he's been forgotten about. I'm sure the audience is like, guys, it's Kevin Spacey, guys. It's Kevin Spacey. I mean, look, talented guy,
it's
unfortunate what's
fantastic
happened,
actor.
and
Not
that all that stuff did
not an
go
excuse
down
or
that he
anything.
did. Yeah, what he did. But
Yeah, but
yeah,
I'm
but
not quite sure.
I think masculinity and manhood has just been attacked as a whole now.
Yeah.
And especially for young men, where they're living in a day and age. Not only is there social media and everything's blasted out there, and all these mixed messages. So for a young guy trying to find his identity and trying to find out who he is and how he wants to operate in the world and dealing with manly normal like urges, they're going to be confused and overwhelmed with like what to do, how to live their lives, and not to say that they, I mean, it's good that like we said, some of these guys have been put out there and the light's been shone on their behaviors, but like men in general are not bad, and not all men are like that,
Well,
and there's just been a
masculinity. Hold on. Let me just make sure that's plugged in properly. Sorry, guys.
That needs to be plugged in properly,
I
right?
hope it is.
Yeah. Is that even filming?
I'm going to...
Yeah, we should check
Talk
if that's
amongst yourself.
filming. But sorry guys, again, this is raw, this is real, this is the first one, and we are aiming go better and better. We're just checking if the camera is still running. It's going good. The phone is charging. And we're hitting up our topics. But this is definitely an area we want to be talking about on this podcast, right? Just helping men find not healthy masculinity. Again, we're not experts. We do thoroughly read on the subject, on the topic. We listen to podcasts about it, and there's some great ones out there. And we're more so about just people finding their identity, especially young men finding their identity, and being strong men, pursuing goals, having purpose and vision, being healthy men, and not just physically but mentally, emotionally. But to also own who they are, not that they go out and push themselves onto women or rape women. We're not for that. That's not healthy manliness, right?
Obviously, yeah.
But there are things that women are attracted to.
Yes, I think what you mean is
Men.
Yeah, there's a level like with the. You saw that Gillette ad that they did, hammering toxic masculinity.
Oh, that's right. Something like that came out. I heard about that one
You didn't
too,
see
but
it?
it got put off, right? Or it got blasted. It didn't do too well or something, or sales dropped or something
Sales
like that.
dropped and they lost value to, I think, in the hundreds of millions.
Yeah, wow.
And then they changed their tune eventually, which was so predictable. And I understand what they were trying to do. Do you remember the ad? Have you seen it?
I don't think I was in the country when it was happening.
Oh, yeah, you weren't. That's right. Essentially, they were just hammering some basic traits that men would do and claim it to be toxic masculinity. And I think that term is used a bit too loosely. So two examples, without showing you the clip, is they had a couple of boys wrestling at a backyard barbecue or a grill, and the dads had to pull them apart because that's implying that that's wrong, that the boys are wrestling.
Yeah, wow.
And that will lead to them perhaps being violent or raping someone or something like that, which I think was ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, there's something about that physicality for men. And
you have to roughhouse, even with girls. Like I've got 2 daughters and we roughhouse and muck around and it's healthy,
Even my nephews, especially like the oldest one and even the second one who's like 11 now. Yep. The oldest is 16 and I even find that they come and wrestle me and it's a figuring out their strength and where they're at in their level of maturity and manliness as well, and and their strength and there's something intimate about that in a healthy way as well. That touch. A lot of those men retreats, they do a lot of that. Oh yeah. That kind of wrestling and physical stuff because there's a healthy bonding going on there, and I don't know exactly the science behind it or the details, but I
think it's ingrained in our nature.
It's almost like that initiation thing, that tribal thing, you know.
And the other thing in the commercial, there were a few things, but to touch on 2 of the points, the other one was a pretty girl was walking down the street and a guy was about to turn to go and talk to her, and then another guy comes and stops and goes, no, or whatever he said. And I can understand like obviously you don't want to be approached all the time, but you have to. Sometimes there would be marriages out there, healthy marriages, where a guy approached someone on the street.
Oh man, before the dating apps too. I mean,
exactly.
How else were you going to do it? Just wait in the club. Like, not everyone wants to meet their lady in the club.
Yeah.
And it was more of a thing, pre-internet and pre-dating apps for a guy to actually approach. It was considered a brave, courageous.
That's right. As long as you weren't seedy about it.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends in the way you do it, and the delivery, and and the way you do it.
Yeah, but things like that. And there were a couple of other similar ads for different companies. How did we get on this topic? What was the whole point of this?
Oh, just toxic masculinity and the weird messages that are being thrown out there at the moment.
Yeah. So you have to there's a fine line between defining what's toxic and what's bad and what is natural and healthy for men, which even in some of the movies that we're going to talk about hopefully soon, where it's almost as if they're saying any kind of masculinity is toxic. Things like competition and roughhousing and being dominant, and things that are naturally masculine are wrong, which they're not. No. And you see this with all the successful men in the world. A lot of them, or most of them, would be, like, use a perfect example, would be Arnold Schwarzenegger, who was very alpha male and very cocky and dominant, and he would be touted as being very toxic masculinity if he were doing what he did in the 70s today.
Yeah, right.
You know?
And would you say sometimes these things are even needed for success in certain fields?
For sure.
And sometimes women are actually just naturally, not all, right? But some women are just naturally attracted to that side of a man.
So we're going to go there, are we?
Who's strong. Yeah, let's go into it.
All right.
Like, I mean, I don't
Are we finished the intro?
Yeah, we're finished the intro. I think we're like 21 minutes in right now. So if you're still watching, thank you.
So it's a touchy subject to broach, and say we're doing this. We're not going to edit this, so we can make mistakes with how we word things.
Yep. Again, we're not experts, so we've put that out there.
But essentially, from what we see, and our experiences and histories with relationships, I know for me especially, I've had partners in the past who have said outright that they were attracted to me when I was dominant and making even just simple decisions like, this is where we're going.
Yeah, being decisive.
Being strong, and not being
taking
pandering.
Control.
Yeah. But it's as if that's being argued nowadays that's
too masculine. That's toxic.
Misogyny.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I've had a specific girl tell me once I was too nice.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's nice. One thing as a guy you definitely don't want to hear is that you're too nice.
Yeah.
You don't want to be a jerk or an a-hole or anything like that, but the worst thing you can be is too nice, because that is, for most women, as we're going to generalize a lot, obviously, for most women, for most men.
Like, we have to.
Yeah, but I don't know what it is. Jordan Peterson, I think, talks about this a little bit as well, but there is something, in the nature, whereas a female is attracted to someone who's going to be a provider, someone who's going to protect them, protect their offspring.
This is a primal thing, yeah.
Which is, I guess, why that, like, as we were talking before the podcast started, women, females would be, they're more inclined to go out with someone or to marry someone who's less attractive than them, if you were to put them on, equal scales, but who has different traits in terms of more successful, where that could be in money, could be power, could be opportunities,
status in their career, on the career hierarchy in their business,
or even in their current trajectory, where they might not be successful at the moment, but they are, what's really attractive, and I've heard this directly from some female friends and from my wife, is guys who are ambitious. So they have something that they're striving for.
Yeah, they really like. I think they would rather be with a guy. Jordan Peterson definitely talks
Yep.
about this. They would rather be with a guy who's got a lot of potential and who's ambitious,
Yep.
who's really going after it, who might not have money right now, as opposed to a guy who's rich but has no ambition and is a bit of a deadbeat.
Yeah.
He's just kind of sitting around doing nothing. So if it was money or ambition and you know, goal setting and everything like that, being driven, they rather that. But they would rather have someone who's driven, ambitious, and have money and success already in the bag. And you see that, you know, you see that in society.
That's a good point that you say that, because I guess the cliche is, you know, a very pretty young girl going out with a much older, ugly jerk of a man, but he's got a lot of money. But if a guy has just won $40 million in Powerball, if he is still a loser and he has no ambition or anything, I don't think he would be found very attractive.
No.
You know, it's that ambition thing that we talk about, and being self-made and going after what you want and getting it.
Yeah.
That's quite, it's attractive to everyone. I guess it draws men towards these. If we're just talking about men, obviously women can be the same, but in this situation, we're talking about men. That attracts other men to them. Like, you know, like I would want to be around someone like that, someone
Who's
like a Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
You know,
Who's confident, who's opening doors.
yeah,
You know,
'Cause you are-
and
Yeah.
forging his way.
yeah.
You want to be hanging around a dude like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Because
for
one
sure.
thing as a guy, like you said before, what's it? You're the cumulative total of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You know, and if you spend time with losers, as what's that motivational speaker? What is his name? Jordan Brown. Les Brown. Have you heard of Les Brown?
I've
He's
heard
great.
of Les Brown. I don't know.
He's
exactly
pretty
who he
good.
is.
He's more of a classical motivation, not like a Tony Robbins, but he's like pumps you up and all that kind of stuff. But he says, you know, if you hang out with losers, you're going to end up a loser, and that's true. And if you hang out with, like, I don't doubt if you spent most of your time, if I spent most of my time with 5 A-list actors, for example, something would rub off, and we would find the key in the loophole to get in.
Yeah. Well, you get around their conversations.
Yeah.
You get around their groups of friends. You start to know how they think and their habits, and you just can't help but, if you're around many people who are doing the same thing, you can't help but to have some of those habits and those thought patterns and the way of acting and speaking and doing life rub off on you.
Yeah.
And vice versa. You know, if you're around a group of guys who are not doing much, maybe just sitting around, eating bad food, doing drugs,
Yeah.
you know, not being ambitious, you know, not pursuing things, procrastinating, then it's going to rub off on you. And
I guess a perfect example of that is us doing this, for me personally, us doing this podcast, us doing that scene. It's because I've been hanging around you and talking to you, and I've got a lot of actor friends, but I've never done this before. I've done a couple of scenes before with one other guy, but that's it. It's hard to find people who are driven, you know. And
I
it's
could say the same.
yeah, but you
About this
can't.
guy here.
It's
No,
hard.
it is a hard thing.
But you
have
can't
to
blame people though, because
you
it
have to-
is, you know, you get, especially as you get older and you have responsibilities and things like that.
It's not easy.
It can be quite challenging to find, not just, you can always find the time, but the drive to not just sit down and relax for 1 hour, but to try and move forward with what you want to do.
Yeah, I believe if you can stir yourself up, and that's the most important thing, you have to stir yourself up.
Yeah.
And then as you go on your journey, on your path, you seem to attract other similar people, and then you have to, and you're also going to attract people who are going to try and stop you or bring you down or make you fearful. But you have to notice when you come in line with someone who's on the similar path, on a similar, you know, trajectory, who's kind of got the same goals. And then, like, you know, you and I, we met up again once. I was overseas in the US for a few years, but now back in Australia. We're both in Australia, by the way, hence the Australian accents. If you didn't pick it up.
Could do the American accent.
Yeah.
To appeal to that international audience.
Well, Roger, you know, there's so much to say about that. We won't go there. Oh, but How was my accent, everyone? You guys, thank you so much. No, but yeah, we've met up and we've made a decision, and yeah, we felt like we had the same goals, and yeah, our thought patterns were in line, and we're encouraging and inspiring each other. But yeah, I guess what we're trying to say is like there's just been an attack on manhood and masculinity, gosh, and we're just trying to, bring that back a little bit. Look, as many people are, I think we're all becoming aware that it's gone a little over the top, and I think just men are just being attacked left, right, and center, and we're all starting to kind of question who we are. How should we perform? Like, I'm single, so I'm still on the dating scene, and it can be a little bit confusing. How would it be confusing? Yeah, because I mean, with the whole taking control, taking charge. Do I just do I make choices and kind of put them out there, or do I start to try? What do you want to do, and what time, and what do you like, and and then you're too nice, you know what I mean, and they get bored. It's so funny. How do you Well,
you can't force that as well. You can't force being decisive, and like I'm like that with my wife now. It is still. I think about that. Like, what do you want for dinner? It's a bit weak because I don't want to get the decision wrong. So that's why I'll ask instead of just saying what I would like. You know what I mean? Yeah. But
I guess there's ways of wording it where it doesn't have to be weak, and it can still kind of be decisive, but you're still giving them an option.
Yeah.
I would like this. Are you cool with that?
That's better.
And usually, like, I mean, I've found with dating apps, if I'm decisive, if they say we want to meet for coffee or drinks, I usually try and get somewhere closer to them so they don't have to travel much. And
that's very chivalrous of you.
Thank you, Roger.
Good to know.
Chivalry isn't dead.
What dating app are you on? I think that's what everyone's asking.
And look, I'm about to get off both of them.
Oh, really?
I think for a little while. But I'm on Tinder and Bumble at the moment. So if you're on there, keep swiping. Just look out for me, and be sure to swipe right.
Is that the good thing?
Especially if you're Scandinavian.
So when you
just being real.
Loves the Swedes. What is Scandinavia? Is it Sweden, Switzerland?
No, it's Sweden.
Norway?
No, it's Norway. It's Norway.
It's a region, isn't it?
It's Denmark and it's Sweden. Yeah, Finland's actually not part of Scandinavia.
Okay. But they're all quite close to each other. My geography is pretty poor.
Yes. You've got like. This is Norway, you've got Sweden, and underneath you've got Denmark, and they're just north of Germany, and then you've got Finland on the other end, but they're not part of Scandinavia.
Okay.
But the Finnish are beautiful looking people too. Look, there's beautiful people all over the world.
There's beautiful people everywhere.
Yeah.
Even Malta has some beautiful men and women.
I spent about 9 months all up in Malta during 2016 and 17.
Okay.
Gorgeous men and women everywhere.
Yeah.
A lot of people coming from Europe, all over Europe, Russians in Malta.
Yeah. A lot of English there too.
English is pretty much the main language now. The University of Malta teaches everything in English. So if you're in Europe, check them out. And if you want to escape the Scandinavian winter, what a place to go. Go do winter there. And do your courses there, and then have a real summer too. Yeah. I mean, Scandinavian summers. I experienced summer in Denmark and Sweden, and it's like our winter here in Australia.
Yeah. I guess
it's pleasant. It's nice.
Malta is a good segue onto our next. So we have a list of topics that we'd like to brush.
Kind of jumping around today, guys. So forgive us.
Okay.
There will be more structure in future episodes.
They film a lot of movies in Malta. Or they have done in the past. They filmed a lot of episodes of Game of Thrones, Troy, Count of Monte Cristo, which is a beautiful film.
Classic.
With
that was Jim Caviezel there as well.
That's right, it was.
Headphones are
falling off.
It's
your greasy hair.
It is, mate.
You got to use the pomade.
Blame it on the gangster scene. This is not my usual hairdo.
Yeah, it's not.
Should I stick to it though?
I reckon. No, it looks good. But yeah, it's very slick. You brushed that, didn't you?
I did brush it back. Yes.
Yep. It looks good.
Thanks, mate.
What were we talking about? Yeah, a lot of things filmed in Malta, but I guess the point of that was woke movies. So this is a similar kind of topic, but there are a lot of movies out there. It seems like Hollywood is infected with this notion of it's like they're trying to prove a point with their films. Instead of making quality movies and quality TV shows, there is, I don't want to use the cliche word, but an agenda to gain political points with films.
And they're almost commenting, right?
Yeah.
With the movie. They're not like letting the audience,
No,
treating the audience
no,
like they're
that's exactly
educated,
right. It's more force
intelligent
feeding,
people, yeah.
which I mean, obviously these shows, you can, if you have half a brain, you know that they're not going to do well. And one of them was Ghostbusters 2016. So that was an all-female cast, and they did Ocean's 8. I think they both financially did okay, but they
was it Ocean's 8?
Yeah,
okay.
Ocean's
that was
8,
the all-girl.
All girls. I haven't seen that one, so I can't comment too much on it.
Neither.
And Ghostbusters, which I've seen a bit of. But that's a different kind of story to what we're going to talk about with the kind of woke movies. Obviously, there is something going on where you're just taking a film and then putting an all-female cast for seemingly just for the sake of it. But I could be wrong. Theoretically, there's nothing wrong with that, of course. But surely there are ideas, there are writers in Hollywood right now or around the world that would have unique, good ideas that someone could take on instead of taking something that's already been done and done quite well, like the Oceans series were, especially Oceans 11 and 13 were fantastic. 12 I don't think was that good. And then, creating your own, that's the whole thing with the Bond franchise at the moment. So they just released the trailer today for No Time to Die. I think it's the last film. Yeah. There was a little bit of controversy about that because James Bond was going to retire, so he's going to retire his 007 status or codename, whatever it is, and he was going to be taken over by a female.
Wow, is that where they're planning to go with it?
I don't know. I don't think so, but it seems intentional that it was.
And is Daniel Craig playing the bow out for?
Is he what?
Is he like bowing out for
I think
Bond?
This is his last film.
Yeah, right.
But he's had a really good stretch.
Yeah.
And he's got to bow out.
I thought he was doing the last one like a while ago.
He had theoretically done his last one, and then they weren't sure if he was going to sign on to this one. And then there were talks with, I believe Henry Cavill, who was also in Count of Monte Cristo as a kid.
Yes, that's right.
Idris Elba, who is
was Hemsworth was in the line, I think, or was he? Was he? Maybe rumors. Yeah. Idris Elba.
Elba, who's
interesting.
Yeah, he's very charismatic. That could be cool. I think Henry Cavill looks the best, physically, and he's a great actor and all that kind of stuff as well. And there are a few others as well, but I guess we're kind of getting off topic here. But I'll use a perfect example of wokeness, Charlie's Angels, which is a film that I don't believe anyone was wanting. They had the original series with Farrah Fawcett and all that. Then they did the I think it was 2001 or early 2000s with Drew Barrymore, Lucy Liu, and Cameron Diaz.
That's the one I remember.
Yeah, and that one I didn't like it when I saw it, but it didn't take itself too seriously. This last film,
it was tongue in cheek,
very tongue in cheek.
They were kind of open.
So they had fun with it. Whereas this one it's trying to be more serious. Every guy in it is completely inept, and it's taking. If you can gather it just from watching the trailer, but they made these women into Mary Sues, which is a term they use for Rey in the new Star Wars movie. It just has all these abilities, hasn't had to work for them. Is completely strong and dominant.
Just naturally like that.
Naturally.
Because she's female? Is that what they're trying to...
That's what it's... I don't know.
Sure.
I don't want to step on... That's definitely true for Star Wars.
Okay.
Because I've seen all the Star Wars films, obviously. And in that film, it was a lot of backlash because Luke, in the original Star Wars, had to learn how to use the lightsaber and learn how to use the Force, where Rey, played by Daisy Ridley, who's a beautiful and fantastic actress, just basically inherited the powers, knew how to fly the Millennium Falcon, which is Harrison Ford's ship.
Yes, that's right.
Like that.
Isn't that a false message of life, though?
Absolutely.
For women too, that
Yeah.
they can just naturally have. I mean, it's good to know that for men and women, young men and women, to know that they have the ability, but but I think that goes in. I think it's Carol Dwight or Dweck wrote that book, Mindset, about the closed mindset and the fixed mindset and the what's the other one? It's the fixed and I believe it's an open mindset or. But yeah, the open mindset believes like they can learn anything they put their mind to if they work hard at it, put in the time and the effort. I mean, doesn't mean they're going to be experts. They might go from a 3 to a 7.
Yeah.
You know, and you might have natural gifting, but you can take your natural gifting from like a 7 to a 10 and maybe make a living out of it. Whereas the fixed mindset believes that it's just born with a set array of talents, and that's all. And and you don't and you shouldn't have to work hard for these talents. If they don't come naturally without hard work, then you're just not talented for it. And if you don't have a talent for something, then forget about it. Don't even try. You shouldn't even try and get better in an area. Like if you're not naturally good at science, then you'll never be good. But
that's definitely not true.
Yeah, and it sounds like this movie or these movies that are kind of teaching women that they should be born. What about the women out there who go out and study and maybe they're not getting great grades or they're not doing good athletically and they're like, oh, well, I thought being a lady meant I was meant to just not even have to try hard and be graceful and just be great and kicking butt all the time.
I'd say you'd have to be pretty naive to watch Star Wars and
take it on wholeheartedly.
And think
but is that the message there?
I don't know what the message is. I think it's more.
And men have to work.
Yeah. Well, in that Star Wars film as well, the male character, I also forget his name, who was a X-wing pilot, was seen as the.
Is it
tried to make
Bottega?
No. That's him as well. He was like a comic relief character, but he wasn't very funny, and he's a really good actor. The actual actor, I forget his name, but
UK actor, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But the guys in it were like inept, and you know, I don't know. It was just in that film in particular.
So in Charlie's Angels.
Or Charlie's Angels.
Oh, or in Star Wars.
In Star Wars.
Yeah, okay. Or in Charlie's Angels, even
Charlie's
also,
Angels,
right?
they're all, I mean, that's their characters, right? They're supposed to be super spies and warriors and all this kind of stuff. But you have to keep it somewhat in the realm of reality. Otherwise, you do it tongue-in-cheek like they did in the original film of Charlie's Angels. For example, in this one, there's a scene where Kirsten Stewart, who is in Twilight, is seducing this businessman or something, and this is obviously a very powerful man, and he's got these security guards armed, I think, with handguns or automatic weapons. And then the two other angels come up and tap one on the shoulder, and then he's got the gun, and he looks like, and then she hits him from behind, and they all beat them up. And it's just like, I know you have to suspend your belief when you're watching a film, obviously, but there has to be some kind of universe in reality that you don't want to get pulled out from. And in a scene like that, even I believe it's in the trailer or it's in some clips online, so you can see it. It pulled me out of being in that film. You know what I mean?
It made you fully aware that you were watching a movie.
Yeah, because you can do that realistically.
Yeah.
Like if you watch the Bourne movies, the fight scenes are fantastic, and they imply that this is what it would be like if you were this person fighting this other super agent or super spy. And then you have films where, like, there's also this other thing where the people were complaining as if there's no female protagonists in films or strong female leads. That's where I'm trying to go with this. With this kind of film like Charlie's Angels, they're trying to portray these women as super strong and super powerful, and we can do anything, we can kick butt and blah, 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 as if that hasn't been done before. But it's like forcing it on you, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas you look at Alien with Sigourney Weaver, Tomb Raider with Angelina Jolie.
Oh, there's been a great number of
there's a lot of good ones.
female action films.
What are those other films like Nikita and Underworld and all those kind of films?
Gosh,
vampire ones. But
and even recently they've had. I mean, there was Captain Marvel. Was it Captain Marvel?
Yeah, Captain Marvel's an interesting one.
Yeah.
That got some flack as well. But that's more from Brie Larson's attitude off camera.
Yeah,
and her chemistry with Chris Hemsworth and stuff like that. I'll send you a couple of links afterwards.
Yeah, I've read a bit of
interviews. Yeah,
like he's married,
but there's no shortage of strong female characters.
Yeah, so just
and guys love watching it. Oh, that's right. That's what
guys love watching. Female
we just
take the lead females take the lead in films, and
everyone just likes watching good films.
In an atmosphere of reality.
There's
and no BS messages.
There's a film that what was it? I can't remember now. There's a film that just came out where oh man, I've completely lost my train of thought.
A recent film? Is it a woke film?
I think so. Yes. Nope, I completely lost it now. No. What were we just talking about? It was on that line of strong female leads. And that's right. No, I've got it. No, it was Charlie's Angels. That's right. That's why I brought it up in the first place. So the director, Elizabeth Banks, and the writer criticized men. Well, basically saying if this film doesn't do well financially, it's because men are scared of men are basically bigots and they don't want to. They don't want to watch it because they're scared of the female leads. And they don't want to watch a film where there's strong female leads, which is completely BS. When we talk about films like Alien and Tomb Raider and all those other movies.
So many films where women have been the leads and they've kicked the butt, but they're just written well, acted well, told well, directed well. Exactly. And men love, they've done well in the box office, and men love going and watch it. And
personally, I've got no...
And men are not the only audience.
Exactly. Well, that's the big point with that was, Miss Banks, why aren't all the women going to see this movie then? Why is it up to men to see this movie?
Yeah.
And that's because it's obviously not a very good film, They did that with Terminator Dark Fate. Yeah, potentially lost $100 million or something along those lines.
What else has there been lately that have been considered as these woke films?
The Ghostbusters. That
I think I've got a list here. I've got what Men Want. I haven't seen that one.
No, I think that's in production, isn't it?
Oh, okay.
It's a Hustle, version of
Late Night.
Yeah, so there are a few.
Long Shot.
Yeah,
I remember. I haven't watched that one. But Terminator Dark Fate. Charlie's Angels.
I've got to give up on Terminator as much as I love Arnie and.
He wasn't even in the trailer, right? Or in the poster or something. No, he wasn't in the
poster. The lead is the three women.
Yeah.
With Linda Hamilton, who was obviously in the originals.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I believe I don't know.
But this is a topic we can bring up more during the podcasts.
Well, hopefully we won't have to, and they just go back to making good films and good stories, telling good stories.
Maybe this podcast will change everything.
I don't think it will. I don't think so.
They're just speaking it out there,
but
putting it out there.
Yeah, I think we should make clear, because especially me, fumbling the words and what we're trying to say is we really love women and. In a good and healthy way, and in film and all that. I don't pick a movie because I want to see a man playing something or other. Yeah. Obviously, you and I would be more attracted to action movies and spy things and things that we would fantasize about when we were kids of doing. And I assume that has to be a reason why women typically, from my experience, prefer lighter movies and more wholesome movies, I guess, and romantic comedies and romantic films. I'm less inclined to go and watch those films,
Although I did love The Notebook.
The Notebook's fantastic. There are great
I've been a fan
movies like that. Or Pretty Woman as well.
Yeah, there are some great romantic.
They're endless. But I think the point I'm trying to make is, so long as the focus is, which is a good analogy for men as well, and people in general, men and women, It's the focus to be on quality and the focus to be on trying to do the best you can do and be the best you can be. If you apply that to yourself personally, people are going to be attracted to you. You're going to grow and be a better person. If you apply that to a film and you're not trying to prove any points, but you're trying to tell a good story and tell it well.
A healthy message.
Yeah. I think that's what we're trying to say.
Yeah, I mean, films, we believe that, and these are the kind of films we would love to act in as well. And part of the reason why we started acting, right, was to be involved in films that inspire, that educate, that enlighten people, that bring people together, not apart. You know, we do not need men and women to be apart in this world. I think we're made for each other, and it's a beautiful chemistry. And a man and a lady are together as well. And I mean, you're a married man, and you've got 2 daughters, and you know, we're pro women here. We're all for women having leads and succeeding in life and having their say and having their voices heard. But we're not into it coming at the cost of, you know, shaming men as well, or making them less. It's not about making women higher and men less. It's about being equal. Equality should be the message. You know,
I think you nailed it, and I think that was the point of some of these movies, such as Charlie's Angels, where they are trying to imply that men have to be brought down rather than bringing women up, which is the way it should be.
Meet us, let's meet together and let's do life together. And I mean, to me, that's the definition of a healthy marriage. When man and lady can hold hands together and do life together on the same level. And you bring your differences, and those differences can match together and just kind of fill in the gaps. And you know, 2 whole people coming together, complementing each other's lives. We are pro women. We're all for women. All right, should we don't have a lot of time left. Should we touch on some of the other topics?
How much time we got?
I mean, we can go on.
Let's just keep going, my friend.
All right. Politics.
Well, what about the Joker?
Joker.
This is an interesting topic because you haven't seen it,
film,
but you have a strong opinion on it.
Yeah, I should watch the film first and see what message and try and discern what message they're trying to give us.
I think your assumptions are sort of correct. So, what are your assumptions? I've seen the film. I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
It's probably not a film I'd want to watch a second time because it's not exactly energizing.
No, it's dark, and
it
looks
dark.
From the trailers. It seems pretty dark and heavy, and not something you want to watch.
So, what do you think is going on
the regular? You know, obviously Heath Ledger's performance in when was it? 2008. Joker something came out. He passed, unfortunately.
Dark Knight.
Early 2008, and the film came out, I believe, in around April of that year.
Yep.
And his performance was riveting. I remember watching that film, and his performance just stuck in my mind for days. And being an actor, I was a young actor back then. Found myself performing parts and going over parts of that film, and I was just blown away. But I believe ever since his performance, and he won the Academy Award, right?
He did,
posthumously,
Yep, that's right.
Yes, and I believe ever since then, the Joker has become almost this coveted character between amongst actors that everyone's trying to, and they've just been pumping that Joker character in so many films now. And obviously, there's been a surge in Marvel, not Marvel, DC films, and just superhero films in general. But I feel like there's so many actors wanting to play that role and give their own weird, twisted take on it now in order to hopefully win an Academy Award. I feel like it's just been this role has been what's the word? It's been like glorified almost, like this. It's been put on a pedestal for every actor to try and.
Well, that's true because Waheem is almost certainly going to win the Oscar for that role.
Yeah, and I get it. It's one of those roles, one of those characters you can really push the envelope and be creative and unique with.
Yeah, but are you saying? So you think? I mean, what's your aspect?
But that's not my pet peeve.
What's your pet peeve?
My pet peeve mainly is that they're punching out this character and they're almost glorifying the actual character. Well, not just the part, but the character of who the Joker is. This guy who maybe got teased and they delve into it more into this film, the Joker's past. And I get it, obviously. And as an actor, if you play the Joker, you have to give that character a backstory to justify why he got to that maniacal place.
Yeah, but in this film, they
actually show it.
There's nothing more than the backstory.
Yeah, they actually show it, and it's almost like as an actor playing that part, you have to justify in your own head why you were there and why you're this person. But if you're going to show that in film and then to try and justify to the audience that, you know, it's okay that he's this crazy guy and he's killing people and he's breaking the law because, you know, he got teased and he had a tough life and you know, he got whacked in the face and, you know, and he was so depressed.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, of course he was going to snap, and rightly so. And, you know, and that's why he is the way he is. And it's okay. You know, I'm just scared that there are going to be people out there, because who doesn't go through tough patches? And some, unfortunately, sadly worse than other people, and a lot of bullying and things. But to think that those kids can watch that film, or that, you know, there's whether they're guys or girls, young or old, they're going to watch that film and be like, that's inspiring me, man. I'm gonna
to do something illegal or harmful.
I want to break free. Like, you know, I feel like I haven't seen the movie, like I said, but from the trailer, I felt like they were glorifying this almost this, like the Joker. He had an epiphany or something, and he's just like realized, now this is who I have to be, and now I'm strong.
You're not too far off.
Okay.
Yeah. He
'cause that's dangerous. That's dangerous storytelling.
Yeah, but it's just a movie. That's the other thing. You're always going to have movies about bad people.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, they make the bad guys out to look pretty cool. You know, if you look at any of the, a lot of the Marvel movies as well, like the bad guys are a cool guy.
Yeah, and that's cool. You don't want it to be black and white. Like, oh, the good guys are cool and the bad guys are...
Yeah. But with this film, I can see how someone would think that it's glorifying it. Like, when I was halfway through, I was rooting for him to get some vengeance, basically. But in his mind, and I guess if I was watching the film or I was trying to be in his mind, it was justified that he would rebel, you know, maybe not obviously murder people. Don't think that's ideal.
No.
But it is...
No, we're not for that, hey?
No, but...
It was...
You're not too far off. But there was a debate, which is why I wanted to bring it up, about whether or not it is glorifying. What other people had said, which I didn't discuss with you yet, was it's glorifying what they call incels, which is, you know what incels means? It's a term that they use to describe guys who are involuntarily celibate, so they can't get women. Whether because they're... A lot of time because they're like this character in the film. They might be socially awkward, physically not attractive, all these kind of reasons, and then they all pile up, and these people become, bitter and dark and hate women and hate life and all this kind of stuff, and they can't break free of that, and then they join together, and these are the kind of guys that are, you know, doing school shootings and all that kind of stuff and all the bad stuff, and they were worried that, or they were implying that this character is glorifying that behavior. And then, you know, he becomes the Joker and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think that was the intention. I think when you make an origin story about the Joker, it's going to have to be pretty dark, and he is a straight white male. So, I don't know. That's a tough one. You're right. Like, people are always going to be inspired by things they see. But you could make the argument that it's even worse from watching the news and some of the BS that comes out of mainstream news nowadays. That definitely manipulates people, you know.
I guess the dangerous thing sometimes, and it's just the nature of filmmaking, TV making. I mean, we saw it with the Australian series Underbelly. All that stuff.
Yeah.
They kind of glorified the whole Underbelly.
Oh, yeah. And they pumped out so many of those.
Like how cool they were, almost like gangsters and mafia and almost all that kind of deal, and the women and the money and the risk and you know, the bravado and all that. Well,
look at what's the Al Pacino movie? Scarface. So what's your opinion on that? Because he is a very bad guy.
Yeah, years ago. But he was this confident...
I remember
watching it.
That's toxic masculinity. That's toxic.
I remember watching that and going, wow, geez, what a... Like, I wasn't looking up to him. And
exactly. You didn't want to be like... There would be guys that would want to be like him and probably would get into drugs and whatever.
And I
you know,
guess
if
you
they're
can't
easily
really help
influenced.
that if they're
Yeah. So that's the
blind.
problem. Is you have to make, because this could work in both ways. Like we're arguing about things like Charlie's Angels and stuff like that, having an agenda. You don't want to have an agenda with a film, I believe. You know, so as long as they focused on just making a good film and that was their intention, then perhaps
And you think
that's
they did
okay.
that with the Joker?
I think so.
I'll have to watch it.
To create a character like the Joker, he has to be. I think it's great how they made it. That basically society created him, in that he was so kicked into the gutter so many times. There's also the implication that you don't know what's real in the film and what's not, to a degree.
Okay, was this like daydreaming or whatever? Or
if he's in the mental asylum or not, it ends.
Gotcha.
You know, it's not a spoiler, but it ends where he's sort of in the asylum. And then there are some, if you go by some of the clips in the film, the clocks are always the same time. So it's kind of maybe implying, there is definitely some parts of it that are imagined, and that's revealed towards the end of the film. Then you wonder what else, how much of it.
Okay.
But it's you can't just assume the whole film was imagined, because that's obviously a huge cop out. And that'll be a waste of 2 hours.
I guess you could also say then that this film could also serve as a little warning to society and a little,
absolutely.
Just a little eye opener that, you know, we also have to be careful with how we treat people and people out there who are bullying or being nasty and cruel to people, that, you know, I guess it just gives them a little, I don't know, a little eye opener to maybe don't be like that. You might be feeding this within that person, you know, and
just your perspective is
again, not to justify
matters.
that, you know, then that person goes and becomes the Joker, but we just need to work together as a whole. Yeah, going back to just doing life together, working together.
Wow, deep,
not
man.
up here or down here, just together.
Well, okay, we probably should move on. We've got. You want to talk about Trump and the elections? Do you know much about what's going on there?
I mean,
obviously, we like the Australian, the politics in Australia, quite boring.
Yeah,
there's nothing.
Yeah,
but
Trump,
we've
had a few, kind of.
He's
rough things with that too,
he's an entertainer. That guy.
And look, you can't. You've got to give it to the guy. He's like
Love
one of
him or
those
hate
Arnold
him.
Schwarzenegger guys who's just succeeded in many fields. You know,
people will argue that he was gifted. You know, because I think he got like $1 million from his dad early on.
Yeah, okay.
But he's turned it into
still had to
billions.
Yeah.
So
he built a massive empire. Then he had his reality. Was it the reality TV show? Right?
The Apprentice, which was obviously perfect for.
Then he, you know, I mean, you can't be a totally dumb guy to do what he's done and to be and go as far as he did with politics as well. I mean, he reached the top. He's the president, you know.
He's really stuck it to them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying he's the most intelligent guy and the greatest guy for the job, but he's also not a dumb dude.
No.
So, yeah, but obviously,
as an American citizen,
I am now an American citizen.
Do you think what's your hot take on the? If you're a betting man, who's going to win the 2020 election? I'm not going to ask who you're voting for, because you do have. Oh, you don't have to vote.
I don't have to vote, but I might vote.
Yep.
I mean, I should vote. I think voting's one of our privileges.
Yeah.
That we have a say. Obviously, hopefully, it's all legit and it gets counted correctly. And I won't go into that. But I read something recently where a bunch of CEOs of big companies were I guess interviewed and asked who they thought was going to take
the
it out.
CEOs
Of these big companies.
Yes, say Trump.
Yes, 2/3 apparently.
Really?
Think Trump's going to take it out.
Well,
25%.
but obviously it wasn't done in Silicon Valley, which is
yeah, right. Well, that might be where the other 25% think Biden will take it, but they seem to be the two big guys.
Okay, Biden.
So you're talking 66%, 25% say, Biden, and so I don't know what the rest is.
So Joe Biden's the front runner at the moment for the Democratic Party.
Yep.
There's obviously a lot of them.
There's about 28, I believe.
Yep, Kamala Harris
has dropped out.
Now, there's Tulsi Gabbard, which I can't understand how anyone would think she's not the best candidate for the Democratic Party, but she's only polling at like 1 or 2%.
Yeah, she's not in the top 3 there.
No.
She was part of Bernie's team, apparently, back in 2016. And so was the other the other lady. Was it Elizabeth Warren?
Yeah.
Was she part of Bernie's team too?
Oh, I don't know that, but I know she's
but now
doing
she's
well.
doing on her own. Now she's one of the top 3
Yeah,
for the Democrats.
that's right.
With Bernie and Biden.
But yeah, the interesting thing here is Biden is front running. Now, if Biden wins the nomination, so he's going up against Trump, Trump is going to eat him absolutely alive. Like with name calling and all the stuff that Trump does, I don't think Biden has the energy. I don't know if you've watched Trump. He will go and do speeches, and it's like he's on like amphetamines, which he might be on. But he is, for a 72, 73-year-old, whatever he is full of energy, and he would mop the floor with someone like Biden, who is very low energy. And I mean that with the greatest respect to Joe Biden, who has served his country so well. But I don't know if it's just his age, and he can't keep up with the pace of just trying to get the nomination. I don't know how he would do it for a presidential race.
He's obviously got the support and the finances to go all the way but personality wise, maybe like mentally, emotionally, I don't know if he's got it.
Watch this video. So this video was from a few days ago.
Apparently he ran in 98 and 2008.
Oh, did he?
So this is his third time running now.
2008. So he ran against Obama.
I believe it was in 98 and in 2008. Then Obama got him to be the well, that's right. Yeah, so how was he the vice president? So he must have ran for the Democratic, obviously with Obama, and Obama took it.
But then he dropped out, and then
Obama took him as vice.
Have a listen.
President. Watch this.
That made me aware when I was in law school. Proudly for Holloway. Proudly for your dad. First African American state senator in the state of Delaware. Everything about.
So far, it's normal. He's doing a speech.
And by the way, I sit on the stand, and it get hot. I got hairy legs that turn
blonde
in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach into the pool.
Rub
my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. They look at it. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap. And I love kids jumping on my lap.
Ooh,
And I tell you what, the men are now all men.
Did he say he's sitting on the stage? Is he sitting or standing?
No, he's standing.
He said he's sitting on the stage.
Oh, did he? That's the least of his concerns. But talking about kids in a pool rubbing
his
legs in the pool and then jumping in his lap, and I love kids jumping in my lap. Now, he's had problems with sniffing. God, it sounds really creepy. I don't think he does it from a creepy place. It seems like he genuinely loves children and people and loves being around them. But obviously, if you watch the videos where he's like in sniffing kids' hair and stuff like that, it's quite strange. And then when he says something,
Roger just sniffed.
Not pleasant. I mean, this guy,
Trump will have a field day with that.
That's my point. He's going to get absolutely slaughtered. So I don't understand why the Democratic Party wouldn't want to push someone. I understand actually why someone like Tulsi Gabbard, but she doesn't. She's more uncontrollable, and she's against the war. And she's actually a current.
She's against the war, right? She's a veteran. Yeah, she's only like 38. Young, smart lady.
Quite young. But she wants to end regime change wars. And then when I heard all that kind of stuff, I started thinking about it, and it's like they have been at war for quite a long time. I think it was 2002. So it's coming on like 17 years, whatever it is. It's the longest.
Coming on 18 years then, in 2020, And these are not wars that are maybe as publicized and made known as, like, obviously World War II and the Vietnam War.
World War II, those wars had a distinct, especially World War II had a distinct enemy and a goal. And like, who's the enemy in this current war? Was it ISIS?
Like it keeps switching, right?
It's not ISIS. It was Afghanistan. Was it Iraq?
Iraq, Iran.
And now they're with Turkey.
Turkey's
in
the mix. So what
the hell's going on? What are they doing there?
Palestine and Israel are fighting, and we're taking sides, obviously, with Israel.
Yep. Then I thought, okay, so because I've always had I don't know about you, but I've always had a romantic view. I've always wanted to join the military and have a romantic view towards it.
Okay.
And then, you know, hearing all this kind of stuff and then hearing Tulsi speak and thinking about the war and how bad it must be and, like, what is the point? And then I read a book, what was it called? War. I forget what it was called, but it's a famous book by a general, I think in the 30s or 40s.
Oh, wow.
The racket, war racket, or something along those lines, and he talks about the profit machine that is war, you know, and how they charge for things like a simple hammer might be $100 or whatever it is. Like, that's a bad example, but
Obviously, it's a big economy.
It's an
War is
economy.
a big economy for
a machine.
for the US, and especially in weapons production, right?
Yeah. So how can you stop this war?
Yeah.
Imagine companies like Boeing and Raytheon and all those companies that that produce weapons and aircraft and all that kind of stuff. It's like, you can't just cut that off, you know?
I mean, then those companies will collapse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But imagine the influence that those certain companies, don't want to single them out, but they come to mind, would have with politicians to try and keep them at war,
Well, that's the
to
thing.
keep the money coming. Like,
And these are big
$1
money.
million to them would mean nothing,
businesses.
you know,
Yeah.
when
yeah.
they're raking in billions and billions.
And that's probably why she is not up there in the top 3. Because she,
But that's
I did
such
not know
a-
she was the one that's really attacking.
Yeah. And coming from her as a War is a Racket by Smedley Butler, a retired US States Marine Corps Major General. That's who it was by, 1935. Great book. And you can get an audio book, and it's only about an hour long. But yeah, that was kind of eye-opening. And I can understand in a way where, like, how people would think, like, if you lived in Iraq or wherever, Afghanistan, like, try and think, like, what would your opinions be of a foreign force coming in, and especially with drones and stuff like that. I know under Obama, there were a lot of drone strikes. Well, under all the presidents, there seems to be a lot of drone strikes. All the presidents, as in Obama, and now I think Bush, Obama, and Trump. Innocent civilians were getting killed. And that can cause some serious problems with people. Like, if my family were, I'm just trying to picture myself.
In regards to the image you have of the country attacking you,
Yeah.
like the image they would get and their feelings towards the
Yes.
US, right? If they were,
Yeah.
plus not to mention the way they've obviously most likely been brought up and brainwashed to believe Western culture and Western society is like, and that they're the enemy and that they do all these things and they're evil.
Do you think that's
and
what
and
they...
I believe a lot of them would probably be brought up that way, at least in the ISIS regimes. But then add on top of that drone attacks and the reasons for those attacks will be explained to them obviously by their family or their government as well, and it'll obviously paint an ugly picture of the US. And plus, obviously, like you mentioned, if your family was killed by a US drone or bomb or whatever, then you're not going to have great feelings about the US. But
like, I understand. I remember an assistant director on a film once said when we were talking about it, like, if you want anyone to be the world police, you'd want it to be America. And I've always thought, like, yeah, I want them. I love America. And
why do you think America, not the UN or
I don't know.
or the UK at least? Or
Well, UK as well, I guess. But because America's the only one capable of doing it.
Because well, financially, you mean?
Yeah, they're the USA. What do you call it? Military budget. I think it is. $700 billion US military budget.
And that's all
compared to other
taxpayers'
countries.
money?
Yeah, which is like the next 9 countries or something like that. Their budgets for military combined is
Wow.
the US.
So
So,
they're the
obviously,
powerhouse with
they're the
the-
powerhouse.
wow.
They're the only ones that can have bases all around the world and be the world police and have all the latest equipment and aircraft and like, I wouldn't want another country to do it. You know, obviously there's going to be some corruption when you're talking about $700 billion.
Yep. But then you'd want the US to do it, but you want the guy who's leading that to be all about world peace and bringing everyone together. If they're going to police the world, like,
you can't be.
Well, there's going to be so
soldiers,
many opposing views.
Yep.
How do you police the world?
Yeah. Well, you can't.
And then you go into like
you can't.
One country's rules and laws and regulations are gonna, not match with another country's rules and laws and regulations. So it's probably an endeavor that's an impossible endeavor.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a deep topic there, Jay.
Yeah, we'd like to talk more about the US politics, especially as we head into it's less than a year now to the 2020 elections.
You know, I just watch it because I find it's so entertaining what the US election and what Trump does. The media should be thanking him for existing.
SNL should be thanking him.
Yeah, that's right. He does some funny stuff. You know, I forget his policies and whatever it is, but like, do you know what happened with Greenland?
Oh yeah,
he tweeted the picture.
To buy Greenland or something, or
yeah, he wanted to buy Greenland, and he tweeted a picture out with a Trump casino or Trump Tower in like all these rolling hills of Greenland, and said, "Don't worry, Greenland, I'm not going to do this." That's pretty funny. And then have you seen the Rocky thing?
No, I don't believe so.
So last week he tweeted or posted on Facebook a photo from, I think it was Rocky 4, the poster.
Oh man!
And he had his he had his face put on to Rocky's body.
Oh mate, that's great.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to give it to him.
That's a president. He's doing that. No context. He's trolling the media. You know.
What did we get a response from Stallone?
No, I kept checking his Instagram, but he
is there any like rights to that?
He's the president.
So, right?
He's Trump. He can do what he wants. Let me see if I'm pretty sure Stallone stayed quiet, which is probably a good idea. Yeah, because I kept checking his Instagram to see if he would comment on it. No, nothing.
Okay.
Stallone. He's there you go. Rocky 1. He's a powerhouse, the old Stallone.
Yeah, mate.
I'd like to meet him one day.
But so the topics we want to talk about, they'll vary, but we would like to keep a tab on the US 2020 presidential race.
Yeah.
We want to talk about men's issues and masculinity, healthy masculinity, right? And relationships, healthy dating, healthy relationships is another topic we're interested in. Obviously films and current news, current topics.
Good work there, Joe. Well done.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Great.
All right, well, look, let's just go through. Let's see if there's any current news stories that we need to address. All right, should we go national? Here we go. Confused whimper. Trump left again. You just can't avoid Trump. Trump left humiliated. So this was. I
don't think he's going anywhere.
The Canadian Prime Minister? What's his name? Justin Trudeau.
Yeah,
and other guys whispering about Trump.
Who Jordan Peterson doesn't speak so highly about.
Hates him. Hates him. He thinks he's just there because his father was. I think his father was quite successful in politics.
Yeah,
like that. But he doesn't like him, I believe, because Justin Trudeau is all for the pronoun thing and all that kind of stuff, which is what Jordan got into trouble for in the first place.
Yeah, shot him out.
Well, there's a documentary out. Have you seen the documentary about Jordan Peterson and his rise to success? So that's something. That's a good thing to watch.
Started watching the Bill Gates one.
How was that?
Yeah, interesting.
What shows are you watching at the moment? Are you watching any shows?
I have not been watching any shows at the moment. I did watch the Rise of Jordan Peterson.
So I should check that out.
Great.
I think it's on.
He's
don't
a
know what it's
guy
on, but,
we both listen to. His
Yeah.
podcast.
he gets a bad rap. And I was going to bring him up earlier when you're talking about like support of women. He is such a supporter of women.
Oh, big time.
You know, but
He's
he
got
cops.
a daughter, yeah.
Yeah,
And obviously a wife, yeah.
yeah. But he cops a lot of flack for being like a misogynist because of the gender pay gap and all that kind of stuff that he spoke about.
He has a good argument about all that, and these guys who are top tier in their companies and earning, and the amount of hours they need to put in, and the focus, and it's a shut off life, and it's a huge sacrifice. And most women, once they hit that age of 30 or like at least by 40, they don't actually, they have the brains and the capacity to go up to those levels and keep up with the men and therefore make that kind of pay too. But they most of them want to start having a family and rounding it out, and they want to spend less time at work, where it takes a rare individual to go all the way and be, you know, those high earners. Look, I don't know about men and women doing the same exact job but being paid differently. I'm not an expert on this whole this topic.
There's a bit of dishonesty when those kind of facts are reported. Facts.
In what way?
Well, they'll compare a lot of the times. They'll compare two jobs and say that there's a gender pay gap with one job. They'll say there's a gender pay gap or one industry. However, they won't take into account, like what Jordan Peterson says, that the hours that are being worked. So men are more likely to do more overtime, to relocate for jobs and stuff like that. So if you had, whatever job, there's more. Men will work weekends and more likely to work weekends and work longer hours. So obviously their pay is going to be more. But if you cut it down to an hourly rate, the studies show that there is no gender pay gap.
Yeah, wow.
You know,
is that across the board?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not.
And then there are jobs.
Well, there are jobs where
pay the women more.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
Well,
I worked in nightlife in the US.
Oh yeah.
Pursuing acting in the US, worked in New York and Hollywood and in Los Angeles and Vancouver, and I worked in the nightclub scene, and the women always got double the cut than the men got. Yeah. And we hustled way more than the girls, but they were the front, almost the front of house in a sense. We were both, obviously. Both men and women were front of house, but the women were the servers, and the men served as well and helped the women serve shots and drinks. But the women brought out the bottles and had to be the main entertainment. Whereas the men had to do all the dirty work of keeping the tables clean and filled up, stocked up, running to and fro from the stock room or the I forget what we called that back room, where all the juices and the ice and the mixers and stuff like that are the cups and glasses and stuff. We're constantly running back and forth, and when we made half with the women made. So,
and that's just, it's just unfair in certain things. Like for you, that was unfair, but for
I would have loved to have made what they made.
Yeah, but what are you going to do about it?
Yeah, So
it's just life. It's not everything. It's not always one-sided. But it is like women have the capability to be like a high-earning CEO, like you were saying before. It doesn't just. It takes traits of a very unique person, not just a man or a woman, to be that driven and that dedicated, to give up all that time and to focus on one thing and being perfect and great at one single thing, which could be anyone, but it's more likely to be a guy because he doesn't have certain restraints that a woman is more likely to have, such as bearing,
wanting
children,
to bear children and have a family, and Jordan Peterson makes a good point. How it's not nice to reach old age and be alone without a partner, and and the family, and that's for both men and women. But it takes a rare individual, a rare human being to put in that sacrifice and lose everything else and sacrifice everything else for the success of their business or just to succeed in their work. Even for a man, it's a rare person, but it's usually the men that lean in that way.
Divorced and
makes sense. you know?
Yeah.
I know I'd rather have a more balanced life.
Me too.
And you being a married man already with 2 beautiful daughters, would you rather, have less pay and a little bit more time with the family, or be making way more money and hardly any time with the family?
Yeah, I couldn't imagine with not having time with the family. I can imagine it in like the short term, but then I think because I've heard stories before of, like you turn 60 like that, your kids are grown up and everything like that, and you're like, oh,
they don't know
probably
you.
shouldn't have spent so much time working in the office for whatever reason,
They say a good indicator of how well you parented is how much do your kids, once they become adults and leave the house, how often do they want to come back and spend time at home and be with their family? Yeah. And did you create happy memories and moments and times for them as children, so that when they reach adulthood, they want to come back and spend time with mum and dad and they enjoyed your company. They have good memories of your company and want to keep it going even in their adult life, But it'd be a sad thing to reach your old age if you're blessed to get that far, and that'll come fast, and then feel like your kids don't even know you, or you don't even know them, and they don't even want to spend time with you now. They're off doing their own thing in their own world, and maybe you don't even know your wife, and that's where a lot of marriages fall apart too late in the game, like that, right?
Especially after the kids leave home.
The nest is empty, and all of a sudden they look at each other.
Like,
we don't even know who.
We haven't even been talking to each other.
Yeah, we don't even know each other.
Yeah.
You don't want to reach that place. That's and look, things can be healed, but it's the prevention is better than cure.
Of course.
Thank
Wise
you.
words. There we go. All right.
Thank you. This audience, though, I mean, so loving. Thank you, guys. You're amazing.
All right, Jay. So, look, we're about 90 minutes in, so we probably should start wrapping it up. However, talking about relationships and stuff like that, what we'd like to do is encourage the audience to send us in questions, whether they based anything really. We're not really picky at the moment, considering this is the first episode.
Yeah.
We have got one question I got from a friend of mine that we'll go through. It's a relationship-based question, and if you want our opinion on it, we'll happily give it. Obviously, it's more than likely wrong.
We're not experts,
but
we have lived a little bit.
Yes.
And I've done the dating game for a little bit now, and
still doing it,
married
my friend.
man, still in there, single. I'll leave my
your Tinder link,
my Instagram, social links.
Greg, okay. Greg says, so I've been on a few dates with this girl I met on Tinder, and I'm into her. But when she didn't reply to a message of mine for a day, I got upset and called her, and basically asked her why hasn't she replied? She said she was busy and now things are kind of really awkward. What should I have done? I feel like I've effed it up and now the relationship isn't the same. Jay.
Alrighty.
Do you think he
said he called her?
He called her when he spoke to her, and then he asked her. I think the main crux of this is he brought attention to the fact that he noticed she hadn't replied to a message for a set period of time.
And
that sounds like a no-no to me. What do you think?
I mean, it sucks when, I mean, again, a lot of it depends on how early it is. How long have they been dating? Are they actually dating? Are they together, right?
Well,
are they just seeing each other? He said he just started seeing the girl.
I would say these people have just started seeing each other.
Okay,
obviously, if they were in a
early.
long-term relationship, it would be fine.
Yep.
But let's go on the assumption. I haven't got those details, but let's go on the assumption because he met her on Tinder. They've probably been on a couple of dates.
They're not even a couple yet. They're just kind of getting to know each other. And look, it is nice when you're getting to know someone, even though you're not officially together or anything, you're getting to know someone. It's cool when there's like there's constant conversation going on. I mean, I don't think it's healthy to keep going like straight off the bat all day, you know.
Conversation.
Yeah, like a conversation going right away, text or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, not hearing from her in a day, yeah. I mean, that's.
But would you bring it up?
I would not have brought it up though. No, especially calling. I mean, I may have sent I would probably send a text and maybe see if she's cool, if everything's okay.
Like question mark? Because that has
you
its own
cool?
implications as well.
Hey, how you doing? Whatever. I'd probably try and touch base, and I try and then read their response. If the response is very closed and not encouraging conversation back, then I would back off.
Yep.
And then see if she initiates as well, and if she doesn't initiate after a day or 2 or 3, then maybe she's lost interest, and maybe you should move on too.
Okay.
But I think maybe he overstepped the line a little bit, maybe calling and voicing. Yeah.
Well, this kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier in the podcast. If you want to go for that, be a confident, attractive man, you're not worried about what anyone else is doing. You're busy doing your own stuff.
Yep.
I mean, I can understand if she hasn't replied for this has only been
a day.
But if it was a couple of days, then he'd be like, hey, then he could respond with, hey, what the hell's going on? That'd be completely reasonable.
And his reach out doesn't have to be needy and desperate either.
Yeah,
it could just be checking in if we're still in this. Yeah. If you're not, then cool.
Doesn't sound like that's what he did though. It sounds like he
was still really wanting it,
more
maybe
like
hoping.
Yeah. And then so what it sounds like to me is this guy's now become the he brought himself down a notch where he's more kind of now he it sounds like if they're still talking to each other, he's chasing her. Yeah. Because he's brought himself down, and now she's more inclined to again not contact him, not respond rapidly.
Yeah. It's funny, they say women like to be pursued, but I think there's a whole different kind of pursuit of pursuing her in strength and confidence, or pursuing her out of need and want and desperateness. Look, and I'll admit I've fallen down this road and made this mistake in the past. Of like maybe getting too involved or too attached too fast and being concerned too early. You know, I think we've both been there. A lot of guys who are, if they're listening, they can probably put their hand up to that too. And I think I personally would like to be at a stage in my self-worth and my identity that where if I'm in that situation, obviously if the girl's interested, she's going to get back to you eventually. Maybe she legit got busy and work and family or something came up. Maybe let it sit and let her get back to you. And if you are going to reach out from a strong, like unneedy place.
Yeah.
And just see, hey, just checking in if you're cool, or send her a little joke or something, and see if she responds to that. And if she doesn't, then have the strength as a man to walk away and just read the signs. I think sometimes we have to, I know myself, I've seen it. It's out there. She's giving me all the signals that maybe she's not interested or she's moved on. And because I'm really wanting it to work out, I'll just at least try. Sometimes you don't even have to send that message or do that call. Sometimes you just have to see reality for what it is and take it and walk away. And not even having to say anything.
Yeah.
And the ironic thing is that'll probably give you more of a chance of the relationship working than actually trying to chase it and get clarity. And if the relationship had been going on for longer and they were an actual couple, then I'm all for communication. Communication is so important, right? And again, it's just got to be done in a healthy way, and obviously in a gentle way. And there's nothing wrong with them checking in and if she's cool, and maybe avoid calls and text. Go see her in person. Maybe go and visit and see if she's cool. Give her a little surprise visit or a little gift or something, or a surprise date. And then if she doesn't respond to that, then obviously the writing's on the wall and it's something's up. And then you can discuss what happened and what's happening and what's going on and why. And I mean, but I wouldn't spend too much time on it then. You know, again, it depends on how long the relationship has been going on for. But yeah, Greg, we've been there, mate.
He's effed up, my friend.
I would say he should just give it some space now.
Yeah, well, it kind of has to.
And let there be some, like a gap. And maybe, hopefully, they've had enough time together where there's been some cool shared memories. And maybe if he stays away a little and gives her some space, that she might start missing him and wanting to see him again, and maybe start initiating herself.
Good advice.
And then he can hopefully come back into that in a stronger place.
From a point of strength,
Yeah, from a point of strength.
You have very well manicured eyebrows, I just noticed.
Oh, thank you very much, mate.
Maltese
El
eyebrows.
natural, mate.
Are they?
I think I got them cleaned up. I mean,
You got them cleaned up?
Yeah, like
By who?
A month ago.
What, where?
A family hairdresser friend.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What, they trim your eyebrows?
Well, she just kind of
that a
waxes
thing?
a little bit.
Waxes them,
but
really?
nothing crazy.
I didn't know you
Yeah.
could do that.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I knew you could physically do that, but I
Yeah.
didn't know that you did that.
I mean, I probably get it done twice
What
a
else do you
year.
get waxed?
Yeah, mate. Oh, you don't want to know, mate. That's for the subscribed members in the private video section, and you'll see full footage of that happening, and I'll give you the full rundown. Oh, mate, the full rundown.
That's actually no. Oh,
The full rundown.
that's the one you should have been pressing all this time.
The
Instead of the
full
clapping.
rundown. Look, the audience has gone silent, right?
Yes, mate. It's because there are none anymore because you're talking about waxing yourself.
Oh, okay.
So if you haven't noticed, Jay loves pressing buttons.
What? Pressing buttons, yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah, thank you.
All righty.
All right. So
It's off.
I reckon
We've done.
I reckon we call it.
Yeah. 95 minutes.
Yeah,
and
that was
counting.
good.
Guys, if you are still watching, we love you.
Um,
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Again, this is just not really planned. We went
Obviously,
over-
I think they understood that from our fumbling and mumbling.
We're testing the camera. We're testing the light. We're testing the mics, and we're testing the whole thing. But it's all about taking the first step. We're all about action. Actions speak louder than words, and we don't
right.
want to be people who just plan and not do anything, but plan and
Exactly.
actually take action
Yep.
and make dreams become reality. And that's another thing we want to try and
Yeah,
push
exactly.
in this podcast too. We're serious about that. So, guys, and thank you. If you are still watching, that's amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Please share,
Please share, subscribe, all that kind of
like, leave a comment.
Yep.
And again, if it's some
to ask questions, especially.
ask questions, if it's a constructive critique, please send it to us as well. We're all open for that as well. So thank you so much, guys.
And Jay, where can the guys find you on Instagram? I believe is probably the best place.
Yep.
What's your handle?
At Mr. John Paul Pace. That's at MrJohnPaulPace. What about yourself?
And I am at RBJS. So Roger Bruce Jacobs Ferris, which is my initials. So that on Instagram.
RBJS. Nice and easy.
short.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. And we
We will
be back in a
eventually-
week or so.
Yeah, we will eventually have an Instagram for this. Or a
Yeah,
YouTube
once
channel.
we come up with a name, we'll have an Instagram, a YouTube channel.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll see. We don't even know if this has been recording the whole time.
No.
I hope it has. I
hope
checked
so.
it about 5 minutes in, 10 minutes in.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's get out
All
of
right,
here.
guys. Ciao.
See you guys.